Hello, good evening. Welcome to this episode number 5 of the Aussie AProcessing game dev. He is doing the racing car game using his AProcessing, and basically we will continue where we left. This is episode number 5, as I said, and yeah, let me open the mic for Ozzy because he's muted. Hello, Ozzy.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's go to my usual prayer. So, guys, as I always say, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the only way I know of how to share my videos and make maybe someone else be interested in the Amiga and start developing for the Amiga. Remember that under each video, press this button, the show more. You get more links related to the video, especially if they are source code, and normally it brings you, if they are public, the source code, it brings you here, Omega, and as you can see, there is either Amiga or C64, and from there you select what you need. Probably you come here and you download everything, but yeah, whatever. Also, as you know, I have the Facebook page, Phase 101. Please subscribe to it or follow it to know all that is happening in my world. Also, there is the Facebook group. If you want to comment on things that we do, then there is the Facebook Phase 101 group. And then there is the Commodore Dev Facebook group, which is anything related to Commodore. If you don't like Facebook, you don't like Discord, you can chat with us on Telegram. All links are in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And if not, if you want that you get a quick response, then you should come to my Discord. Normally, I'm quite fast in replying, basically. If you want to go the extra mile and support us, then you have either Patreon or Ko-fi. As you can see, there are 95 exclusive videos that you will unlock. Of course, they are related to game dev, and the same thing on Ko-fi. Okay, they are identical. For those that do not know, there's a new game jam, the Snake game jam. So if you want to participate in this one, you have 1 month, 17 days. It ends on Easter. So you can, for Easter, everybody gets holidays normally. So you can code this simple game for Easter, and it will be your Easter egg. So now let's pass to Ozzy, to the slide. So that screen, yeah. So as I said, 5th episode, and now I leave Ozzy to talk. If he is not loud enough, please let me know. It's important that you let me know that his sound is okay. Hello, Ozzy, you can start.
So let's start because I want to go to sleep. I had some rough nights.
Oh,
So
that means that means a good
yeah,
night.
and this time I don't blame my daughter. It's just me. Too many thoughts on my head, and when
Uh-huh.
I think too much, I can't sleep.
Do you have a
Uh,
project like mine that is worrying you? Because that's what it's going to
no,
be.
no, no. It's personal stuff.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I start to think, but when I shouldn't. But anyway,
You know what I
this is
do? You know what I do when I cannot sleep and I
uh,
I put the headphones on, put my mobile on, find something on YouTube, whatever it is, I don't care. And normally I sleep listening to the music, and because I'm trying to concentrate on the screen, I sleep.
I did this in the past
Yeah.
because I used to listen a podcast while to get some sleep.
Uh-huh.
Because the English was is not my native language, of course, my brain was trying so hard to understand what the speaker was saying,
Mm-hmm.
and this was
Tiring you, so you sleep.
good. Yeah, because I was very tired and it was helpful to sleep. But right now I can understand my podcaster quite well, and I don't have to suffer so much. So I have to find something else to sleep well. But anyway, we are not talking about how to sleep here. I just want to give you a brief update on my game. Maybe some of you already saw what I did because the latest build is what was aired broadcasted on Sunday night
Yeah.
at the game jam. Uh,
Mamma mia. Oh, thank you for the follow to OG. Okay.
And so I just tried to manage some pretty small and quite boring stuff actually, because what I did the last 2 weeks was not so interesting. But anyway, this is something that I had to do in order the game to work properly and to be something like presentable It's not a competition; it's a jam, a game
Yes.
jam.
Yeah.
So I had to at least to give a start and give an end to the game. So please go to the changelog. I will just briefly explain the last features. Then I don't know if you want to show again the game, or otherwise I can go on
I can
talking
show the
about.
game. Actually, it would be good to show the game, no?
Uh, First, I would say let me
Okay, fair
mm,
enough.
show the changelog. Then you can start the game.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. So you should
As you
see
can
the.
see, slide number 2.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Okay, so I'm just taking into account what you said and what my daughter said last time because my daughter's playing my game. So I tried experimenting with cards in different sizes
Uh-huh.
because a 9 pixel by 9 pixel or 8 pixel by 8 pixel is quite small.
Yeah.
So I added some different sprites to the game, but mm, at, at the end I stick with the small ones. Even if changing, making them bigger, it's quite trivial. You just have to point the ink bin to a different file, so
Yeah.
nothing. So the major updating is the 15 degrees sprites approximation, because it was too, I don't know how to say it, but uh, 8 sprites for representing a full rotation of 360 rotation was not so much. So I ended up with 24 sprites.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you reach the threshold of 15 degrees, another sprite is drawn on the screen instead of the same. So this is a better accuracy and makes the game more playable, in my opinion. I added the fourth car, and actually this is my minimum target. What I would like to do is to make an 8 car game, but it will be very hard on the Amiga. So for now, I will stay with 4 car. I added Joy Zero, which is the port. Joy Zero is the one usually reserved for the mouse. But anyway, you can plug a joystick in this port, and now it's recognized. And all this stuff is how to manage the joystick on port 0 is explained in the book, in the Ramjan book. So I don't I won't go into detail on the routine. Then I inserted a countdown before the race, so there is this banner that says 3, 2, 1, go.
Mm-hmm.
Pause on game. The game is you can now pause it in case the player has to go to the bathroom. Uh, and so you have to pause the game with the space bar. And actually, it was quite fairly easy to implement because I recycled the same routine for the start. So when you press space bar, it goes in pause state, and then the countdown starts over again. So we have the car standings and the car standing screen. So if you have multiple cars, there is an array now, and each time a car finishes the race, in this array I store the address of the car object, and it's in order, and then I just represent this vector into a new screen. So when the race is finished, that every car has crossed the finish line, there is this new screen. But as I said, again, it's quite sad because it's just a black background and some text on it. Probably I have to figure out something to make it look prettier. Another feature is the less strict collision checking. This is something that I noticed on my own, and it was reported also by you, Faze. The reason that because your car was stuck on the wall, on the sides of the road, is that I am allowing the car to rotate even if the velocity is 0, and this is something that doesn't happen usually on our
Sure.
everyday life, but in my game it can happen. And if you, while rotating, if you hit the back wheel in a certain spot, which is a certain pixel, which is marked as not walkable, it feels this illusion, this feeling of being stuck near the wall. So I just commented out this part, and right now I'm just checking the central part, so the center of the car and the front wheel, and that's it for collision detecting with the non-walkable areas. There was a very nasty bug on the map metadata, and this is why I wasn't able to stream last week, because I saw the lap counter, which was incrementing with no reason, and I found the bug, and later I will just show you where was the problem. And color mapping, so colors reworked, and the face log at startup just
The
to,
most important part of the game is there.
yeah, the face logo. And there is a fade in and fade out routine, which is from the book.
Yeah.
So just really a simple copy and paste of the book, and it worked just fine. In a few minutes, I had the logo popping up and disappearing into the night. And then another feature that could be of interest is the parallel joystick support. So the Amiga has this parallel port in the back, and you can plug an adapter, and you can plug two more joystick on the adapter, and you can use it. So there are some limitations. This is something that I'm going to talk about at the end of this stream. And I think no more feature, no new feature so far.
Okay.
This is what I did in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, so give me a second to get the Amiga. So, oops. There you go. The most important part works. That's it. The rest, the game doesn't need to work, but that has to work.
I had something in mind with your logo because the logo can be divided in
Yes.
some pixel,
Yes.
and I could do something, some animation or something like that. But
You know that logo was designed originally on the Amiga. That's how old that logo is.
So it is built programmatically or with Deluxe Paint?
It was done with Deluxe Paint.
Okay,
The original one. The original one. There is a demo on Poet or Demo Zoo which has it actually. That logo comes from a demo that we had.
Okay, but what if I could just do it programmatically and
Yeah, I have created a program in JavaScript actually that generates the logo so that it can be generated to any screen size with a big background as I want, etc. So that's why my logo has got. I'm able to play with my logo because I have this program that generates the logo for me every time.
The only problem for me is that the Amiga doesn't have a proper browser to run JavaScript.
No. You run it on the PC and it creates the.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I think this is something that could be of interest for a demo. This pattern of dots.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can do a lot of things with it.
Yeah, and it can be done programmatically. You
Yes,
can
exactly.
save space. So
that's the intention. That's why it was created like that.
Yes. But unfortunately, as I said, I didn't have time last Sunday, so
yeah.
This is why I just copy and paste some.
Can I stop you a second? I just noticed something in the menu now. So when you're going through the joysticks, you see joyport 0, joyport 2.
Yeah.
Joyport 0.
Yeah, they are not ordered. The menu
okay.
is not ordered
Okay,
because
one.
the order is the same order that I implemented the routines. It must be reordered. But the point is that you can pick Joy 0, which is the mouse, Joy 1, which is the regular port, Joy port 2, which is parallel port number 2.
Really? So I need to change that.
Unless you have an adapter.
No, and I'm using the EMU, no.
In this case, you have to.
Okay, there you go. And there is our game. It starts 3, 2, 1, go. And I can go over the other car. Okay.
Yes, this is something that we'll talk about later.
You need to have the collision detection with the cars, no?
Yeah, but the problem is not the collision detection itself. I can talk about this right now.
Uh-huh.
Just a small note. The problem is not the detection of the collision, because the Amiga has capabilities to detect collision from different sprites, even if there are a lot of limitations, but
Yeah.
there is something, and I will use it. The problem is, once you detect the collision, what's the final velocity of the car?
Oh yeah,
Because
that's true.
you have to provide the Amiga the instruction of what to do when the the cars are entering the collision stage,
Uh-huh.
and what to do after that they don't collide anymore, because the velocity vector must change in a reasonable manner. You can't just say you go back or something. You have to do some math and provide some physics simulation.
Oh, it I got stuck again.
No, you are not stuck, because the game is waiting for the other three cards to complete the game, to complete
Uh-huh.
so you should go with the
Ah,
controls of the
and
second
select
card.
one card. Yeah.
Yes, and once they are they all completed the game, you have the standing screen.
Uh-huh.
It just gives you who is the first, who is the second, who is the third. If you go with just one player, it won't wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's intended as a multiplayer game. It's not intended to be played alone. But anyway, I was saying that my problem is I have to calculate the momentum when the car collide. I have to take into account what's the velocity of the first car, what's the velocity of the second car, what's the direction where it's colliding. So all this stuff just to get the new velocity vector for both the car that are colliding. Because, for example, if you hit another car which is still, you will have to do something. If the other car is running on the opposite direction, you have to do something else. So you have to implement some physics routines in order to simulate that, and it's quite important for me to do it right. And what I did, and what I'm doing right now, if you look this, this is the book from Schiffman. I don't know if you can see it, and there is
There you go.
something here that
Hmm? Yeah,
is
continue.
Daniel Schiffman has a whole chapter about a paragraph, let's say, about collision. But the problem is that since this is quite complicated, he just uses a library which
Yeah.
is called Box2D.
Yeah. Perfect.
And Box2D, it's fairly easy to use, but of course I can't have Box2D on the Amiga. So if you are aware of some Box2D equivalent ASM source code on the Amiga, please let me know. Otherwise, I have to figure out on my own something,
You can
because
you can
it's
write the routines yourself, no?
but I don't think it will be so easy. Maybe if Pellicles
It's
was here,
Box
I
today
can.
uses the a square around each sprite and basically does comparison of all four corners of a sprite of the box. So that's what it is. You put a box in a sprite and you check the four corners that they did not collide with another sprite that has another box in it, that they are not overlapping. So, and it's quite, I was reading about it.
Okay,
It
but my problem is, what's the velocity after that the
no,
collision is
that
detected?
that will be different. That has nothing to do with
Yeah, this is my problem. The
yeah.
problem is not collision detection. The
Yeah.
problem is figure out the new velocity vector, the new acceleration vector, and
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff for the two cars that are colliding. And what if we have three cars colliding all together. This is possible, even if
Yeah.
it's quite rare. So this is a real mess,
Well, I
and
think
I'm
I
not.
think it's quite possible even four if you have four cars because one needs to clash with the other and boom, it creates chaos, no? Because it can bump into it and the other car bumps and I don't know, or go
Yeah,
hits another car when it's being fired, whatever.
yes, it's like a relationship.
Yeah.
And I did something in the past, but they were balls. So I simulate the balls that were bouncing all together in my demo.
Mm-hmm.
And when they collided, it just gave you a realistic behavior, let's say. I will try to implement the same routines on my game, but ball cards are not balls,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not fully what I expect. I want to treat the cards like rectangles, and so anyway, I'm not expecting to solve this problem very soon because it's quite hard. I have to read something, document something. I just need
Mm-hmm.
more time. And as I said, Daniel Schiffman here is not helping at all because he's just saying use box2D. This is the calculation given from box2D, and that's it. But
Yeah.
it's not enough for me because the Amiga has
Man, you'll add
everything.
Box2D to your A processing framework.
Yeah, I don't know if box2D is open source, but anyway, I don't have to implement a fully
No,
box2D
no, no. You
method.
implement it, you write it yourself, but you write parts of it. You don't need the complexities of Box2D. Definitely.
Yeah, I just want to figure out what's the velocity after that two rectangle collide.
Mm.
So if anyone here has any idea how to do this, I, as I said, I'm just trying to read a lot. This is something that the book, the Ranjan book, doesn't cover, of course. Uh, it's not meant to be a physics book,
No.
and I'm very weak on math, so I think I will have to pay a physics teacher to teach me what happens when two bodies collide.
Yeah, I
And
understand you.
so it will be very painful, unfortunately. But anyway, right now, no collision. The only collision is with the walls. So
Yes,
okay.
he's weak on maths, he said, Dogstar. Same like me, same like you. No, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
I
I'm weak
really.
on maths. I'm definitely weak on maths.
At high school, I didn't remember anything about my physics lessons, and I just remembered something, but quite not too much
Yeah,
about
same
my
here.
happening.
Same issue here. I don't remember much.
Yeah, but I had a colleague that he was a physics professor,
Oh well.
and I will try to get in touch with him and try to arrange some online courses
Ah,
and see
okay.
where we got from here. If of course if he's willing to do this.
Yeah. Anyway, so shall
Anyway,
I
so
to to slide
uh,
two? Slide three,
yes,
sorry.
slide three. Like, come on, let's go because it's too late.
Oi, I had a very long day today. You were messaging me 1 hour before I finished from work. Normally, I message you when you are still traveling. So today I am tired.
Good.
No, it's not
Yeah,
good.
let's go faster than hell. Just to quote a demo. So this is the asset directory. There are cars big directory. This is where the big cars are, medium and small. And so each directory has the multiple images. So every car image has been repeated at interval of 15 degrees.
Hmm.
The rotation, since I'm not good at drawing, what I did is I took deluxe paint, I saved the image like as a brush. And then when you have a brush, the deluxe paint is able to rotate, so apply this magic math in order to redraw the brush at a different orientation. And when I did this, I just used my ELBM2RAW program. And this is a feature that I never talk about. It's the minus E or minus I. And what it does, it stores the output result in interleaved mode. Because if you remember, when you store the sprites on the Amiga with Inkbeam, the Amiga hardware is expecting you to have interleaved data. So first the first bit plane and then the second bit plane.
Mm-hmm.
Row number 2, same stuff. So this is just a feature that I want to present about my conversion program. And go on to slide number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I did with the Deluxe Paint. Just all my sprites on the upper part of the screen. There are just my cards, the medium cards, and on the bottom part, the small one. On the right part, there are some big cards which were drawn by my friend Carlo,
Uh-huh.
and I tried to
Yeah, those are
implement
big.
this,
Yeah.
but this image has a lot of problems. And the first one is the size,
Mm-hmm.
and this car is bigger than the road. And the second one is that too many colors actually. If you do this, so you have 4 cards, you need to reserve all the colors after the 16th to the sprites. So you end up having the track with the 16 colors and then all the other reserved for sprites unless you overlap them. So this is something that must be discussed.
But I still
Quite.
think you can make them a little bit bigger. Not as much, not as he did them. What I mean is use 16 by 16, but the car is, so the sprite will be 16 by 16, but the car will not be 16 by 16. It will be, let's say, I don't know, 11 by 11. But because you are rotating, you will still need 16 by 16 because, it gets, it needs to
Yeah,
fit.
the
It needs to fit.
diagonal needs more
Yeah,
pixel.
yes, exactly. So it needs to fit.
This
Um,
is what I tried with the first version on the upper part of the screen. These
mm,
are exactly what you said. It's 11 by 11,
uh,
but still I need sprites
8 by
with
8.
six. Yeah, so I don't know. This is a problem because I remember that if you use AGA, you have high resolution sprites,
Yeah.
and this is something that could work a lot better with this feature. But since I'm on ECS ACS, this is what the Amiga can do, nothing more. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to live with this limitation right now. Maybe in the AGA version, for sure, in the AGA version, if I will do it, there will be some high detail car and high resolution sprites. For now, yeah, I don't see any way out. Okay, can you please go on with
Mm-hmm.
the next slide?
Mm-hmm. Here is how to use the ILB Turo.
Yeah, this is my ILBM2 row, and I just want to mention 2 new parameters, which is something that could be useful in the build process. I added the minus B, which produce a file for each bit plane. So you go in with an IFF file, and the output is some files, as many bit plane that you get, and each one is so you can ink bin in different part of your game with ink
Mm-hmm.
bin. And then the other is not so important, it's -E, just forces the overwriting of the output file, but not very
Uh-huh.
important. Just want to mention that if you do you are cross compiling your game, or you are like me, you are using Linux to code on the Amiga, and you are not coding directly on the Amiga. This is I didn't see a lot of tools that allows you to do that.
Um,
So
Dockster, to answer your question, how he did it, he explained it a few minutes ago. So basically, he did it in Deluxe Paint. He had you convert it into a brush, okay, and then the brush you can rotate it, and he rotates it every angle at 15 degrees. Does
yeah,
that help you?
I just want to
I'm just
add
going to go
something.
back to this slide. Um,
Just tell me one thing. I tried to rotate the image also with GIMP and some modern manage manipulation programs. The problem is that most of them just apply some aliasing, so they rotate, and they rotate better than Deluxe Paint. But the problem is that since they introduce aliasing, I end up with a lot of colors, and
mm,
I don't want that. I just want
yeah,
each pixel rotated. I don't
yeah,
want a full representation of the rotated image.
yeah.
So this
So
is why I'm using Deluxe Paint. I didn't find anything like that with my in GIMP. Maybe there is an option to erase aliasing. I don't know, but since I know
yeah, to be
Deluxe
honest,
Paint,
even
I,
this is the method that I know. I mean, when I needed something to rotate, this is how I loaded it in the Amiga, Deluxe Paint, and brush and rotate the brush. Because once you do it in like GIMP or something else, you'll end up with more mess. Let's say that.
yeah.
Because they do not work on index. They do not have an index palette. That's the problem. They work on full RGB palette. That's the reason why it happens. I believe. I mean, I'm not an expert. If
GIMP has, you can say to GIMP, please use an indexed scale. So the image can be indexed, but still, when you
yeah,
rotate, you have some results which are pleasant to the view. So perfect, but they are not suitable for the Amiga because
mm,
GIMP is not meant for Amiga programming, probably. You have to do some plugins or some trickery
yeah.
on your own.
Uh,
Okay, so anyway, turn the page. So I will talk about briefly how.
Here we are. Raw
Uh,
data conclusion. There.
yeah, this is something that most of you probably already know. Each sprite is ink bin, and the first line is just how the sprite is built. So the vertical position, the horizontal position, the where the vertical sprite ends, and the control bits.
Mm-hmm.
And after inkbin, I just say dc.w00 just to mark the end of the sprite, because I don't want multiplexing here. It's just one sprite on the screen, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So every image is included here. Please turn the page, and each of these inclusion are now uh, part of the car properties. So if you remember, I had this mover object on my main loop, and the car, every mover object which represents a car has a lot of properties like direction, where it's heading, the
Mm-hmm.
velocity, the car ID, I don't remember. There are a lot of properties. A bunch of them are related to sprites. So I put here the address of each sprite into into the car properties, and I end up with 24 of them because that's what I have. And the last one is repeated, and we will see soon why. But the idea is that every image can be whenever in memory. I just take the map here of each sprite image, and it's included in the car object.
Mhm.
And this is what I had in mind. But maybe it's not the best choice
No, actually, I was
for.
going to ask you, did you explain the car object? Because I'm trying to remember. I mean, remember we haven't done a stream for some time, so I'm trying to remember if you explained the car object or not before.
I did it. It was, I think, in the first episode.
You
The
know,
problem is that this part has been
change.
implemented so much because at the
Uh-huh.
beginning it just had the car position, the XY position, the velocity, and the heading, and just a bunch of, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm trying to remember the structure of what you had. So
If you have Visual Studio Code, you can open rc.s. At the beginning, there are the offsets. And this is,
yeah, I have.
yes, this is the structure. And this is every single properties. And when I started, I remember it was 30 bytes or 40 at best. And now, if you see, there are a lot of them. It's the front wheel position,
Yeah.
a flag for accelerating, braking, and this is the car sprite
So
piece.
so here these are the offset for one structure, basically what you have here.
Yeah, the mover object so the
Uh-huh.
mover is just the base address. Then you add these values just to point at the
Yeah.
right field of the structure.
Yeah, this is quite a lot.
And there is a lot of them. Also, I added the samples for the
Yeah.
noise because, and this is something that I didn't discuss in the past because if you notice, there is some noise on the background,
Mm-hmm.
which is the car, the engine of the car, so the noise of the engine, and this is done with programmatically. I just describe a sinus wave with dc.w somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and then I store the address of this sinus data here inside the property, and then I just play this sample at a different speed depending of the speed of the car,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how it works. So it's 192 bytes for each car right now. So it's more or less 4 or 5
Yeah,
times.
if you have 192, yeah, that's why I was doing, I highlighted it. And you have four cars, so you created four of these, one for each car, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
yeah,
Yes, this is the mover object. This
yeah.
is what's inside, and there is a function which is run at startup, which just init all these fields.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are reset after the race is over, but that's the idea. The game main loop just cycles through each of these mover object
Mm-hmm.
and do stuff.
Yeah. The other
And
thing I wanted to ask you, are you sorting the mover object? No way.
mm, the mover, I just start with mover 0,
Yeah.
and then I get the input and I move the car. Then I go to the second car and the third and the fourth. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then exit, wait for a vertical blank and start over.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the game.
No, the reason why I ask you if you're sorting is to see if you're displaying, you're doing some type of sort of the way you display the car. So, for example, one that is on top maybe is printed before, one that is at the bottom, and things like
Mm,
that.
This is managed by the Amiga hardware.
Yeah.
You can tell the Amiga hardware, please do not the priority over sprite. I think it's fixed. So the sprite 0 will be drawn always on top, for what I
Yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But what I meant is uh, the updates of the X and Y positions.
Yeah,
That's what I meant. Are you doing some type of sort so that you do the update of one before the other and things like that? But
yeah.
if for
This
cars, I do not think you need to do it, to be honest. But yeah,
I don't, but this leads some conclusion that if you take car number one, each frame you are checked first. So if you finish the
yeah,
race at the exact frame of the others, you win the race.
yeah. That's why I
Because
was asking. So I was
yeah,
thinking ahead, and I said, is he doing some type of sort here?
yes, exactly. Because of course I don't have too many parallel programming here. So
Yeah,
I have to check if car number one is crossing the line, and if yes, okay, put in the final standings
yeah,
results. Then go with car number two, number three. They are processed in a serial way, not
mhm,
parallel.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't know how to do on the Amiga this, but I don't think it's so important
No, no,
for
it's not.
the
No, no.
game.
Just ask for curiosity more than anything. Um,
Okay, so I would say let's talk about the how I draw all these sprites.
Pay
So
attention, Dockster. Pay attention.
so this is the what I figure out. This is of course a full circle, and I divide it into multiple parts. Of each part is 15 degrees, so 15, 30, 45, and that's it. So my goal is, let's say, for example, the car is pointing to the right, like in this example. So it's 0 degrees.
Hmm.
And the question that I want to answer is what should the game do if the car is 0 degree? Of course, it will pick the sprite corresponding to 0 degrees. But what if we have 1 degree? Of course, still I don't have a 1 degree picture. I still have to paint the 0 degree picture. What about 2 or 3 or 4? Same image. That's how it works. So uh, let's take an interval minus 7 degrees and 5 and 7 degrees. I want in this interval the the sprite corresponding to degree 0. From the 8 degrees, I want to go to the next sprite, which is drawn at angle of 15,
Hmm.
and so on. So you will end up with 24 different sprites.
Hmm.
And my problem is, how do I implement this on the game? Because the first thing that I come to mind, it was just a list, a table. So for each angle, so 360 angle, you end up with an address or an offset or something. You have to figure out something in order to select the right picture from the list that was listed above in the previous page in here. And tables, lookup tables are often used in the Amiga, so this is of course a viable solution. It's very quick. Since I was in a hurry, again, I didn't want to waste time and memory to build this table. And what I did is shown in the next slide. So please turn the page and we will see the code.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, this is how I point the sprite, and it's quite short. The only problem here is that I use a divu instruction, which is painful. So I don't know if I will keep this code or not, or we go to the lookup table, but this is what I did. So there is a directive at the top, which states which is my maximum tolerance, which is 15 degrees. Then this mover steer direction offset is just one of the properties that you saw before on Visual Studio Code, and it's just an offset that tells us where is the data representing how many degrees the car is rotated. And this value is put into that data register D7. So D7 holds the degrees. Then I add the half of car sprite degrees because, as I said, I want to have a portion between -7 degrees and +7, and then +8 plus 22. And this one is the half of the slice of the cake that you saw before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just divide, so 15 by the degrees, and so I selected the right slice of the cake, and then I point. Of course, I have to find which is the correspondent sprite. In order to do this, I multiplied the results by 4, and this is because the addresses in the Amiga are 4 bytes long, so a long word. And of course, I don't use mul, I use left shift in this case, which is possible. It's a little bit faster. And then I add this new offset to the base of the sprites. So I don't know, probably there is some, it could be shortened, this, it could be optimized, but this is what I'm doing right now. Probably I think LSL and add address and the set car property add could be optimized in some way using the addressing modes of the processor.
Why you have car sprite degrees where the add instruction is? Why you are dividing the 15 by 2?
I'm not dividing by 2. Okay, yes, the second line.
Yes, yeah.
Because let's say that, for example, you are at degree 15. So I want the lower bound and the upper bound. The lower bound is 15 minus 7, and the upper bound is 15 plus 7. This 7 is 15 divided by 2, which is rounded. This is why. Because otherwise, if you don't do this, you don't have the offset you need. Because at 1 degree, you end up drawing the car at 15 degrees, for example.
Yeah.
You have to add this.
You need to be in the middle of the car. So,
yes.
In a way.
This is why I use this technique. And finally, I just move .l, so where the A1 is pointing to right property, and in this location, there is the address of the ink bin sprite. And this is how it's drawn. And I said, again, there is the divu instruction, divu.w, which is very slow on Motorola. And really, I don't know if I will change this algorithm because I don't know. I don't have performance issues right now, so I don't feel the need to scratch, to save some cycles right now. But maybe if I end up with 8 cards, this is something that must be considered very with attention. Okay, so I think we are done for the sprite pointing. This is the bug. This is why I missed the last time stream. And this is, if you remember, this is the track metadata. I divided the track into different locations, different zones, because I want to force the car to travel each zone before reaching the final finish line. I don't want you to cheat and take shortcuts. You have to touch each color of the track. This is what I have in mind. And the bug is that sometimes I was the game was counting a new lap when it shouldn't. So I rechecked all my code and I couldn't find the bug. And the bug was not in the code. The bug was here. If you see on the left side there is the bugged image. On the right side is the correct image. And as you can see, the problem is near the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
You see the grass near the finish line,
Yeah.
it's the same color. It
That's all.
means that if you go to the green before the finish line, this will be detected as zone number one and not zone number zero. So in this case, my code will, if you go on the grass, it will be considered that you completed the lap. This is the problem. On the right, there is my fixed routine, and I just added an extra zone, which is relative to the last zone of the track. So if you go there, now it's safe. Your car slows down, but you don't get the extra lap. So this is something that I think it could be automated. How to get an image, given an IFF image, how to get something like this, an indexed image with all the part colored in order to prevent more problems, human errors when doing a track. This is something that I must think about it. But again, I'm glad that I spot the error and I fixed it. It took me a whole morning. Please
Let's see.
turn the page so we can introduce the last argument
Mm-hmm.
here. This is something that okay, I have it here. I can show you. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
panel.
see it?
Yeah.
So this is my four-player adapter, and this is a project of one of my friends. The name is Sukopera, and it's quite popular on GitHub because he releases a lot of open hardware for the Amiga, and this is one of his projects. So I'm putting here not because I want to advertise his work, but because I want you to look at the schematic. And on the right of the schematics, there are two DB9 ports. This is where you are meant to plug your joystick. And as you can see, each pin is connected to a parallel port, but not really every pin. As you can see, pin 5, for example, is disconnected. Pin 9 is disconnected. And if you remember from last time, these two pins represents pin number 9 is the right mouse button or the secondary file, and pin number 5 on, let's say, on classic Amiga is the third button, and they are connected to a potentiometer, to a capacitor, an RC circuit. On Amiga CD32, it's just a clock. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that if you remember, on my game, you can break with the down or the secondary button. And this is, I don't think it's possible using this technique. Okay, you get the fire button because the fire button is pin number 6 and it's connected to the parallel port, but it doesn't work. The secondary button, since it's disconnected, I don't see any way how to detect the secondary button. But anyway, this is a very nice project. It's very simple to build and it's very cheap actually. You can just use do it on your own, or it's quite easy. And I tested it on my Amiga in my 600 and works flawlessly. There is also the possibility to emulate this, let's say, this dongle or with the FSUIE or WinUAE. They are both able to emulate joystick through parallel ports. So this is a nice feature of the Amiga, and just a few games takes advantage of this. I don't know why, actually, but mm, it's possible to do it, and I implemented it, and it was fairly easy, actually. Even building the adapter and programming it, it's very trivial. So please go to the next slide, and we will finish with this. This is this is something that I don't think that was covered by Ramjan book, and this is how you drive the, the parallel pins of the Amiga when there are joystick connected. As you can see there, you have just to read these two addresses, which are CAAB and CIAB and CIAA. And this is where they are storing the information about the joystick. And I just reported every bit. I want to read this because it's quite boring. But anyway, I asked for help about this on our Discord chat. And I remember one user just pasted me a lot of code uh, related to this. And he said that it was taken from McGeezer. Um, the problem is that this code was quite long because he used the OS to open the parallel port and then use the miscellaneous resource, which is a capability of the Amiga OS, and then it just starts reading these bits. I think because there is some preliminary work to be done before reading this data. Probably you have to tell the Amiga that you want to take over the parallel port, so any other process can't access it. But anyway, I didn't do any of this and still works, and so I'm a little bit puzzled on this. So it just boils down to bit test. So if the bit is high, it means that the direction is not present, and if it's zero, it means that the direction is present. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else, and it just works. Also, I found some docs on Aminet describing this. And I think if Ramjam is not mentioning this on the book,
The parallel port, no, he mentions the normal joysticks, but not the parallel port. In the meantime, hello, Night Shift. Yes, they did not implement the second button, he's saying, on the adapter, parallel port adapter.
yeah, this is as I suspected. But what I want to say is just if you are translating the book, maybe this is something that could be useful to add.
Mm-hmm. We already
I don't
discussed
know.
this, and I told you yes, so yeah.
If you didn't already.
No, I already discussed this with you, no, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I forgot when, and I told you yes, we will include it. Like I took note of it, and it will be included. So yeah.
I don't remember if in the next slide I put, let me check. Okay, in the next slide, if you go on the last slide, there is my implementation. and this is that something that you can read as a reference. For example, if you open the first link on your browser,
Yeah.
you should see.
Wait, because it's very small. You need glasses for read this. Okay.
But we have Zoom.
Yeah.
So this is a routine which was taken from Ramjan, and I just changed the behavior. So the jumps, and I changed, of course, the labels and the addresses, but it does exactly the same thing. It just gives you the outcome into D0 register, and it sets the bits accordingly. And I don't know, it could be used as a reference. Anyway, there are some other resources on AmiNet that are describing exactly this process. And I just want to mention to you that for me, this is something that could be of interest of maybe the future generation which want to compete to your game jam.
Yeah.
So there are routines for joystick 2 and joystick 3.
So
And at this point, I think my game supports everything but the paddles. And my friend Carlo already built some paddles, and he tested with Arkanoid that they work fine, so the hardware is there. I can start, pardon, I can start writing some code in order to drive my carts with the paddles, and it will be quite funny, I think. So other than that, you can drive with the mouse, with the joystick on parallel port, the keyboard, with the numpad keyboard, and I think the Amiga has no other input devices. Maybe a pen.
pen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You can drive with a pen,
Yeah.
a light pen, but I have it actually. I don't know how it works, but I have an Amiga pen.
Really? Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, it's here. I don't know. I I tried to see if it works, but it doesn't. It's this,
Uh-huh. Oh,
and
yeah,
that's maybe you want to drive my cars with this.
yeah.
I don't know. But so that's it. I try to speed up this time because I'm quite late.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So
And that's it. Nothing more to say.
just before we close, then let's show the game one more. I think we should now to make you happy after all the effort that you made. So now,
Come on, try to stay under 2000.
yeah. It's when I reach the white parts that I
You just have to reach the top of the screen, then press break.
break. I mean,
Break.
pull back. Pull back, you mean?
Yeah, pull back and you stop. It's a little bit easier.
No, it's impossible to do in 2000.
I did it in 1700.
Yeah, but you are playing it constantly. How many times I played it?
No. Even at the first tries, it was something like that. I'm pretty
But
sure that.
definitely it is better than it was. I could not do it before as I'm doing it now. So definitely it's a better way of it's much more controllable. I still think that you can improve it, but yeah. I don't know how your children, how much did they manage to do it? Did they manage to play it and control it control it
The
like you or not?
the performance are more or less like you.
Uh-huh. So, I'm
But
a child, I know.
yeah, my daughter is 8 years old. Sorry, 8, and so it's
Well,
understandable. I really think, I don't know. I will try with some volunteer. Maybe next weekend I will ask my friends to try to play it. And for me, 2000 it could be easy for everyone.
guys, so, guys, I'd like to thank Ozzy. Was episode number 5, explaining his game. Of course, there will be episode number 6 and 7 probably, and 8 till he finishes it. Till he,
Who knows?
till he finishes it. So yeah, um, we will continue with the series. Next Sunday there will be my series on the 68K, and during the week I continue streaming about the book. I need to get this book. I had given myself 2 months to understand formatting of a book, and I haven't achieved it because 2 months is nearly going to go, and yeah, I gave myself till end of February and it's not there. Anyway, so see you on Sunday or tomorrow, depending of whether you want to keep my company or not. Let's say that. See you guys, and bye bye.
Ciao.